All right, Austin Rugby fans, man, you can listen or watch about, I think we're up to about 35 different American-based rugby podcasts, but you've chosen to select this one to listen to. Alex, it has been like 390 days, 380 days since the last MLR match, but we're finally here. Saturday.
Finally.
Saturday, man. March 20th. AGs, Utah, we're it's here. I mean, we're back. We're back to playing rugby. How exciting is that, man?
Hey, we're on a win streak too.
We are. You're only as good as the last game you played, right? So we're 1-0.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're 1-0. Yeah. Oh man, lots to talk about on the podcast this week. It's been, for us here in Austin, it's been really busy. Last week, unfortunately, Alex couldn't join us, but Bradley Yandel stepped in and did a great job. Really appreciate Brad coming on. And then he did double duty for us because neither Alex nor I could actually get out to the pitch and helped us really have a great week for Austin Rugby Supporters Group Facebook page. And also Texas Rugby Monthly, who we work with, obviously, because I'm also one of the three on there. We were able to broadcast not just one, but two of the AG preseason matches. And technically, and I'll say this now, Alex, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, we pretty much had exclusive rights to all Austin preseason matches.
Yeah,
preseason broadcast rights, man. I'm calling it now. We've got it. We're going to try to lock it down for next year too. So.
Yeah, let's get sponsors next year.
I know, right? So, how great is that to know that originally the games weren't going to be broadcast anywhere. Nobody would have been able to see some of the great plays, some of the unique combinations we have out there. But then we can go and do it. Having Grant Cole announce the game on Thursday night, and having the AGs versus the Giltinis at home at Bold Stadium, and what was just an absolute, we'll call it a Texas shootout, man. I don't even remember the final score. Is like 40 something, 43-38. Like we lost in the last minute, but again, for me, it's preseason. I don't know. What are your thoughts on preseason matches and what you take away from a scoring, with scoring?
Well, I think the primary takeaway is that AC/DC is massively popular on the Stadium PA.
All right. So so I made a comment about it, and I do hope it changes. For those that didn't watch the AG match from Bold Stadium on Saturday on Austin Rugby Supporters or Texas Rugby Monthly Facebook pages, they were just rocking out, and it was just loud. I mean, it was really, really loud. I don't know what it was like in stadium, but if you were watching, I had to turn it down. Like it was so loud. And it was during the middle of play. And I think that I don't know.
I think that there was a malfunction or something because
there was something.
Like 30, it was like the same 30 seconds of thunderstruck about
30 times,
15, 20 times throughout the course of the game. But you know what? Hey, like at least it wasn't. It's not like at least they weren't playing Bon Jovi or Winger or something. At least it was AC/DC.
Yeah, they could be playing they could have been playing something really bad too. Like,
yeah,
Anyway, well, I don't want to comment on that. It was I did comment on it. I'm not a fan. Like during the run of play, I don't mind if you want to blast it, during during stoppages, but God, during the run of play, turn the music off, man. I'm not a fan of it. Like I want to see what's going on. So I've said my piece.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the play, at least in comparison with the first couple of hitouts, which is to be expected. I thought the second half, obviously, I think the stream cut out for a little while. So
we had some technical difficulties. That's what happens when you're shooting from a single phone on a tripod.
Right. But I think that in the first half, like ball in hand, we were pretty good. We looked a little shaky under the high ball, and LA definitely took advantage of that. And I don't know. If it
also
was
some questionable calls about the ball going backwards, dropped out of from the high ball, and then
Yeah.
I think the referees were also or the main ref that match. He was maybe a little bit rusty as well. Had some hand signals go not remember what what advantage was or what a penalty was for the hand signals. So
Wow.
it was a little rough, but yeah, I do. I think there were some. If I want to give takeaways, right? Like, so my first takeaway, and I'll ask you your other one, your three here in a minute if you want to think about it. My first takeaway was we looked a little bit, ball in hand. I think I talked about it this last time. We were passing the ball to spaces where people weren't, and maybe we're a meter or two away, and we weren't quite lining up right. And I think once we got ball in hand and we were on, basically on the downhill, great run of play, and I thought that there was really good link ups. I interviewed Mack Mason, which will be coming up here later in the podcast, and Mack playing kind of a distributing 12 rather than, because of his size, we don't really have Mack Mason, who's not a super large player, playing that that crash ball 12, but he's doing a great job in that attacking formation because he can recycle back into the 10 slot if he needs to, should Will or Kurt, kind of dive in there and take the ball up for a hit up. So, that's kind of my first one is like, we're still knocking off the rust. I think we're lucky as AG fans to see the team. They've had 3 hitouts, right? So, 3 times they've been out for this preseason. Other teams, Old Glory, 0. Like New England, 1, I think. Atlanta, they had 1. Like people they just didn't, like with COVID scares and everything, like they just didn't take the chances. So I feel really lucky going into the first match with 3 different teams, not just the same team 3 times. Like we're 3 different teams, right? So that's kind of exciting. So that's my first one. It's my first and my second one. Like we've been able to have 3 different matches, look kind of shaky, and I think my third one, kind of taken away from Saturday was, and it's kind of what we've been doing the entire time, is we're kind of blending these combinations, right? We're still trying to figure out who's working well in tandem, who's going to play at 11, who's going to play at, who's going to be 13, who's at 15, and we're moving people around. And of course, inside the pack, we've got, with the depth that we have, you're just moving different prop combinations, different hooker prop combinations, different hooker prop combinations. And so everybody's just rotating, second rows rotating, back rows rotating. And so we're just still trying to play it. If you go back and watch the match, I'm pretty sure that the entire back line for the Giltinis, and that being Giddo, Ashley Cooper, and Billy Meeks, and then of course and DTH also, who looks fit. He looks really fit. But I think they played the entire match, almost the entire match. I think the Meeks and Adam and Giddo, like they did play the entire match. They were on there. I went back and watched. They were on there until like the 80th minute. So, and my mind is like, okay, they're still playing. That we're trying to move things around and figure out how we want to play. They played just the team that they have, and so I think they're a little bit low on numbers still, from what I can tell. And so I think that they may struggle a little bit further down the season as wear and tear happens on 34-year-old, 35-year-old bodies, as I know.
Definitely.
So what are yours? What are some things 3 things that maybe you've been taking away from preseason?
I think the very first thing that's like almost unmissable is just you don't even have to watch the ball and play to see that our forward pack is massive.
Big boys. Big boys.
We were considerably bigger than LA, considerably bigger than Houston, and will be considerably bigger than everybody else in the league. Like, I mean, just between Jamie and Sebastian, I think that we have the 2 biggest players in the league. I know that
Cam Dotson's not too far away from him.
Siasi Mahoney's pretty dang big.
But
between like 2 of our guys in the type 5 are possibly 2 of the 5 biggest players in the league. And then you've got Patty Ryan coming off the bench, and he's huge. Mason Peterson is just a unit. Like even Hugh Roach he's not a huge like guy like
huge
frame wise. He's just an absolute unit. Like he's a brick house.
Yeah. I mean, Hughes 243, like 5'10", 243. Like, dude, man,
he's a compact.
That's
that's a compact 240. Yeah,
that's stout, man.
He was making a lot of tackles too. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
The second thing for me is I don't love where we're at. I think defensively, I understand that the Guillotines do have like three of two of the greatest players to ever play, for the Wallabies, plus Billy Meeks, who's been a standout in Australia,
for a long time.
Unlucky not to be capped. And then, even DTH Vandermerver has been one of the best wings in the Pro 14 for most of his career. So I understand that, that's a really tough backline to go against, but I just didn't see a whole lot of connection defensively. And, maybe that's because it's early in the season, but, I felt like they were just kind of playing faster than we could reset on defense. And I think that's something that we've got, because we're not going to struggle for dominant tackles, and we're not going to struggle for winning collisions, especially in the forwards.
Yeah.
It's just that I want to see our back line connect a little better and, defend as a team.
Defensively connect is what you're saying.
Yeah, defensively connect as a team. And, I think that Utah is not going to be the same beast that LA was in that department. So it'll be a good chance to kind of tighten those screws this weekend. And then I think the last takeaway for me was that we are pretty good about taking advantage of being inside of the 22.
Yes.
Start
comparison from years past.
Yeah, we're down there and then we finish because we've got an awesome set piece, and then we've got a great scrum half that really facilitates well and manages the team well in the red zone. And then we've got guys like Mclean Jones and Dom Aquina who are just almost unstoppable from close range. That you've got those scoring threats plus a dominant forward pack, and then other guys that are good enough to kind of get over the line and actually dot the ball down. And I think that's not necessarily something as fans that we're used to.
Yeah, for sure. I think I love that you said obviously, excuse me, Dom Aquina had 2 tries on Saturday. Yeah. I think did he have one on Thursday as well? I can't remember. Maybe it was the week before that he scored. And then of course, Mclean Jones. You said from close range, but also did you watch the entire Houston match to the very last minute, the very last try? Do you remember?
No, not really. I think we actually had practice during it.
Excuse me. So the very last try of that match, you had Will McGee. Basically, they got the ball out, spun it a little bit left. Will from probably the right.
Oh yeah, no, I did
the right side of the post, about 15 to 20 meters out, put a kick on a dime in the try zone, and you had Mclean Jones literally full extension, think of a baseball player diving and making the catch. Basically, he dove and caught it for the try. It was I'm gonna post it on social media channels here soon. But that was, man, it's one of the tries of the season before the season even started. And again,
that was sick.
If we didn't record that and if we didn't broadcast that live, nobody would have ever seen that. So exclusive broadcast rights and broadcast highlights. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I think that connection, and maybe it's the team and kind of the mixing of players. If you look at the back line and all the different people that we've had moving in and out, just trying to find the right combinations. And I think it is, it's hard in the preseason. It's hard for Coach Harris and Coach Girard to kind of look at it and go, okay, here's how we're going to line up, match 1. you and I have kind of tried to pick things about it. We've talked about all the different players, leading up to the season. Didn't talk all the way about the back line, but we can talk about that too. We've got a lot of different players in there, but there's so much to talk about leading up to the first game. We can kind of highlight some of those. But I think it's important, that they're trying the different combinations. So I kind of get why that synergy is not there that you're looking at. Because I think what you were talking about, your synergy on defense being connected and being linked together, is the same synergy on offense, that I was talking about, like not, passing the ball in space, but to the wrong space, like 2 to 3 meters short or 2 to 3 meters long, causing guys to reach out. And I think that kind of hurts us too, which I think hurt us on this past Saturday for the last preseason match. Was just had a lot of knock-ons, still kind of a lot of penalties, and some of those knock-ons were questionable, but I think that we're still the penalty demons still lingering around from seasons past, because we tend to rack up a lot of penalties for Austin. So that's my thought on the matter, at least.
But all in all, I mean, I think it's pretty exciting, see, to go into a season with the expectation that like we're going to be in the playoffs,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the depth that we talk about, the great things going on, that's what it's all about, right? We're trying to sit down and say, in years past, I think Brian Ray made a comment in America Rugby News, just in the analysis of the AG, saying, we're short in depth in the front row. Are we short in depth? I don't think so.
No,
we have three hookers, we have five props. And that's, it is what it is. I know some players are not with the team anymore that were previously with the team, and the team hasn't commented on it, and so I'm not going to comment on it right now. It is unfortunate, but we have 5 props, and 5 outstanding props in Wapa, in Mason Peterson, in Larome, and Jake Turnbull, and in Patty Ryan. I mean, those are 5 guys that are. We talked to Larome last week. Like, he's covering both tight and loose, so you basically got 3 people in each position, and then you got 3 hookers, and Hugh Roach, Robbie Coetzee, and Mason Koch. And so that the sheriff, I think somebody called him on social media today, and I thought that was kind of a funny nickname. So we'll have to ask about that one. But I think that's for me, if that's the one downfall, having the depth, like I don't think that we really have that depth. So that's kind of exciting. As far as the wing goes, like there's lots of people moving around, and I think Connor Mooneyham has been, he was kind of like a last minute pickup because of the Dallas Jackals, and man, he's been fantastic. Scored a try in the first match against NOLA. His first ever run out, kind of for the pro side. And then, he's been really outstanding. Like, I really like the way that he plays. It's kind of cool to see him out on the field being the number 1 overall pick, in the draft, if you will. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking about is, that's what the team looks like right now, and a depth for the first time ever for an Austin team. I'm not really worried about depth. I know it sounds crazy. I'm always, you should always worry a little bit because, you always players are going to get hurt. Always going to happen. If you're watching the show or watching the guys on television the other day on was it Fox, I believe, you saw a wrist wrap around Jeff Hassler's wrist. Maybe nothing from the team yet, but it looks like it could be sprained or broken wrist as of right now. So that's going to put him out. 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, if not even more, depending on the severity. But again, that's what I can tell from the television. Same with Christian Osberg. It looked like he had something, his finger wrapped up as well. Who knows? So obviously, neither of those guys were in the starting lineups that got brought out. But if we want, we want to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk starting lineups.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sounds
right.
Good.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, Austin fans. Again, we're here. We're the match. Depending on when you're listening to this drops on the airwaves on Friday afternoon, and then of course we're gonna try to get the video out to you much faster than we got last week's video out. Technically, last week's video came out on Thursday, which is today, the day that we're recording. So I apologize for that, but that's that's one of the downfalls of doing your own podcast is nobody does that work for you. You got to do it all yourself. So, but Alex, we've got today which is great, 48 hours ahead of time. Austin has put out their lineup for the big home opener against Utah. Unfortunately, I keep looking at the iPad. Utah still has yet to put out their roster, so we don't know who's playing for them. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. So let's kick it off. Let's start with that front row we've been talking about, the depth that we've been talking about. Of course, starting off at loose head, Wapa, Jamie McIntosh. No surprise there. That was kind of expected. I think you and I both picked Wapa to start off on that one. And then going over to hooker, we've got Hugh Roach. So beginning of the season, you and I thought maybe Robbie could see a start, and then Roach would come in. So again, what I was kind of thinking about with some of the picks for the starting lineup is we have to also remember that there has to be a certain number of American based players in the lineup in the matchday 23 according to MLR rules. I don't know the exact rules, but I know there has to be a certain number of players. So if do you know the exact rules?
No idea.
I'm not even clear.
No clue.
And then
I don't think anyone really knows.
I don't think anybody really knows. I know that there is a certain number. I'm gonna go with 10, and that's that is U.S. and Canadian players, maybe 10. So and then finally Mason Peterson. So Mason, so Jamie, Hugh, and Mason in that front row. What are your thoughts?
I mean, super exciting. Obviously, Jamie McIntosh, one of the best dudes in the business, game wise, and just dudes,
just dudes in general.
Hey, dude, but I mean, it's amazing that he's into his upper 30s and he still goes 70 plus minutes.
He looks fit, right?
Yeah.
So here's my takeaway, right? And I saw him last year. He's a big dude. He looks fitter, a little bit leaner. He bulked up muscle. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but he looked solid. So
yeah,
no, that's just me. And then of course you got Hitman.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that with the way that Hugh Roach comes off the line and tackles as well, I think that you're looking at, between the three of those guys in the front row, I would not be surprised if there's 8 to 10 dominant behind the game line tackles, dominant tackles on Saturday. So I love that front row. It's good in the set piece, it's good in open play, and it's mean. Yeah, and I think that's just how you handle your business in the front row.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, moving on to the engine room, as they call it. Sebastian de Chavez. We both kind of called that one. No big surprise. Got named vice captain. So congratulations to Sebastian. Sebastian is one of those players who, again, he's got so much experience coming over from London Irish and Leicester Tigers. So, good to see Sebastian in there. And then kind of I wouldn't say not a surprise pick if you've been watching the preseason, but a bit of a surprise if we go back to what we talked about in the last segment, knowing that maybe Christian may have gotten injured, sometime in the past couple of weeks because he had his finger wrapped up. Cam Dotson, the rookie getting the start in the engine room. So basically you've got Sebastian de Chavez at 6'8" and Cam Dotson at 6'7". Those are two powerful war horses going into that second row, man.
Well, I think Cam definitely did himself some favors too with that 45-meter.
Oh man, he broke
against Houston in the preseason.
I think one of the things that I'm excited about for Cam Dotson is that he has speed too. He's not just a big tall second row. I was trying to figure out who in World Rugby that he reminds me of, and I really haven't placed my finger on it.
Do you remember Tom Croft?
Yeah.
Tom Croft. I think
he's super fast second rower.
Yeah, kind of, and also Tom Croft played a little back row as well. I think that's kind of who Cam Dotson reminds me of.
All right.
Englishman.
So you're been that tight five with Whopper, Roach, Mason Peterson, Sebastian DeChavez, and Cam Dodson. Our loose forwards are Mo Abdominan at 6, Mclean Jones at 7, and Dom Akina at 8. Alex, Coach Harris must listen to the podcast when we say Dom Akina needs to play 8. Coach Harris, big shout out to you. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks for taking our advice. Oh, man. How exciting is that loose forward trio?
Oh, my God. You said Jamie McIntosh looks leaner this year.
Yeah.
In a good way. I think Dom Akina looks bigger in a good way. Like he doesn't look like, a collegiate cornerback like he was anymore. He's looking more like, a NFL safety type of guys. And he's already was one of the most athletic guys in the league. And now I just can see strength.
He's going to barrel over people.
He looks stronger, and he also looks more comfortable, almost like expressing himself besides just, I'm going to tuck it in one arm and run. Yeah. I think he's just starting to bit by bit, just add tools to his belt. And I really think that the Dom Akina we see week 1 is going to be really good. And then the Dom Akina that we see week 10 is going to be a totally polished and different player, and he's going to be one of the best players in the league. Period.
Yeah. So I think the Dom Akina we're seeing now, when I said he can be the Artie Savia of of USA rugby, I think you're starting to see that size. He's bulking up and he's just getting bigger and faster and stronger. Which is hard to say for somebody who runs a 4.340. And has a ridiculous vertical. So I mean, obviously, and then Mclean Jones, we talked about him a little bit just a few minutes ago. He's somebody I think is going to be really nice in that 7 slot. He's a bigger guy. He's a little bit stronger. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to put a hard hit on anybody that tries to go blindside.
Yeah, I thought he was just all around really good too against the Giltinis. He just makes meters with the ball, consistently makes his meters, and he just is a hard dude. Yeah. Just hits people and doesn't lose ground. I think he's puts people down right where he hits them, and I think that's going to be really helpful, especially with Mo at 6 and those two working together.
Mo's like a honey badger.
I don't know that there's a better jackler than Mo out across the league.
And so I think it's because he's not a big guy, right? He's a little shorter, he's a little stockier. I think we've talked about it, man. It's because he's low to the ground, and when he gets down there, that low center of gravity, you can't. You're not.
Well, you know what else he is? Is he's, even though he's thick, he's very flexible, and that enables him to get over the ball without losing balance.
Yeah,
and he's just really damn good at it.
And it's exciting. So there you go, man. That's 1 to 8. McIntosh, Roach, Peterson, DeChavez, Dodson, Abdominan, Jones, and Akina. Yeah. Love it. That's a good lineup right there. I think our forward pack is going to be, like you said, going to be dominant. It's lineouts our lineouts super clean. Of course, when you have guys that are 6'5" to 6'8" jumping, and then Dom Akina, you have guys who are 6'5" and 6'8" lifting, guys like Dom Akina who can jump 40 something inches in the air. It doesn't hurt. So moving on to kind of that really tight connection in 9-10, Pele Cali and Will McGee. What are your thoughts on that? Look at you yawning. Long day. Hey, we work is first, and then podcast later.
And then rugby practice last.
So, yes. What do you think about the selection? Obviously Pele Cali came in. You sang his praises for sure. Talking about the way that he manages and controls the game. Will McGee gets the nod over Kurt Morath.
Yeah, I think that's at this stage. I mean, I think that almost the role Kurt Morath has, and I'm not around the team, so I don't know, intimately what's going on, but I feel like Kurt Morath almost is that steady hand and steady boot that you can always put into the game to kind of, settle things down, or if something happens and, Will McGee has to shift to fullback or whatever, you can bring Kurt Marath in and he's super reliable. But at age, like 36, 37, I don't know what he is.
It's not that old. I think he's 35.
Yeah, 35. I think he just might not be able to play the full 80 minutes in the way that Will McGee can, who's a bit younger and has maybe not had the knocks throughout his career. So,
yeah, for sure.
I think, and I think Will McGee is a good player too. I think that
he's fantastic.
I don't think that really there's a whole lot to it other than that they're both good, and the coaches just right now kind of fancy Will McGee.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Will. I mean, we talked with Will on the podcast. Yeah, I think his playing style is fantastic. Yeah, again, he only got 20 minutes in the last, if that, 20 minutes in the last game of the season against Houston. So it's been good to see him kind of get in there and mix it up a little bit. And again, I think he's got a good playing style. I think that's right. I think he and Pele have a good connection, and I think there's going to be a really good connection. Again, I think a lot of these guys do, headed out to the 12 and 13 spot in the centers. And, you've got Mack Mason at 12, and we talked about it. And again, interview with Mack Mason coming up right after this. He's playing that distributing 12, and Bryce Campbell, the American hero right now. Captain America, and officially announced that he is the captain of the AGs now. So Bryce Campbell is this year's captain, which is pretty exciting. I know Zinzan had it last year, and I think I think it's good. Maybe not good that they took it, that Zinzan isn't captain, because Zinzan's still kind of captain in our hearts, right? But I think I think that gives Zinzan still young. Bryce has got that experience, which is always helpful for captains, and I think it gives Zinzan a chance just to kind of focus less on doing the captaincy thing and to play in great rugby like we know Zinzan can. But yeah, so Mack Mason, Bryce Campbell at 12 and 13. That 9, 10, 12, 13 combination is going to be lethal.
I agree. I'm a big Mack Mason fan.
His play style. I love his play style.
I don't even remember him while he was at the Waratahs, and I guess that's because he never really got that much time, kind of being stuck behind Foley.
Yeah.
But just in like the limited amount of rugby I've been able to watch him play since he's come over to the U.S., I just feel like he's very much of a almost like a controller there in the midfield. Just like he can carry it well, and he gets his meters. He's got good footwork, but he seems to make good decisions, and he's very comfortable under pressure, which I think is a really big, important, real important thing, especially the higher level you go.
I think it's also, as we kind of chatted with him, when I interviewed him, he talked a lot about, and again, coming right up after this, he talked a lot about how he, his style of play, going back to playing rugby league days. Like he's a big rugby league player, and so he's going to be kind of a really hard hitting defensive player and like busting that gain line and stopping people. And I think that's again, being a distributing 12, like the style of play that we're seeing is they're playing what's in front of them. And if the 10 gets caught up and can't get there, you've got basically Mack Mason, who plays 10, like he is a 10.
Yeah.
And so you got basically 2 10s at 10 and 12, which is pretty exciting. Bryce Campbell, what else can be said about Bryce? Like he's a great player. He's got such high pedigree, Indiana guy, since we both graduated from Indiana. But we're really excited to see what he can do. On the wings, we've got Cole Davis, which former Canadian sevens and Canada national team winger, and the number 1 overall pick, Connor Mooneyham, getting the nod in the starting spot today. Pretty excited for that one. And then back in the back, the captain of our hearts, Zinzan Ellen Puddock.
Yeah. Hey, we've got two of not only rookies. But also not only 2 original Austin Elite players, but 2 Austin Huns players still in the match day starting 15. So that's
and
cool.
Zinzan and Mason. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
And then I think it's good, really good too for Zinni to head back to fullback because I think as much as he did the best he could stepping in at 10 last year, I just feel like that's not his most comfortable position. I don't think at the MLR level. I think that some of his best abilities are picking lines and beating defenders. And as a 10, you don't get to really do that as much, especially the picking lines part. And I think that fullback is definitely that's his bread and butter. And also phenomenal defender back there. So that's going to be really welcome to have this season.
I think Zinni has some of the fastest feet I've ever seen in person. Like he's so quick-footed, and I think the great thing about that is like if you go back and watch all the tries that Zinni scored, for Austin in the past, it's always come like usually last season he had a try from the 10 spot, but it usually comes from him doing something amazing in open play, right? Like, so when he gets into open play, it's pretty great. I think, like I said, Connor's been really great in the preseason. Exciting to see him play. You were saying too, I thought you were talking about Connor. Connor and Cam Dotson, 2 rookies getting a start.
Yeah.
That's pretty, and we got one on the bench too. Connor straight out of college, Cam Dotson straight out of college. And you got another one on the bench. We'll talk about in a minute, straight out of college too. Going to be 3 of them on the bench this week. So pretty exciting.
If you are D1A rugby, you've got 5 players for the AGs starting on Saturday with Mason Peterson, Zinzan, Bryce Campbell, Connor Mooneyham, and Cam Dotson that all played D1A collegiate rugby. So that's a pretty cool feather in the cap there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, Cole Davis, again, excited to see Cole Davis. He's been playing great. Like, I think he's a great player. We'll just have to wait and see. On the bench, we've got, again, another one of those players getting their first ever MLR cap straight out of college. That's Mason Koch. It's going to be the second hooker in there. Was a little bit surprised not to see Robbie Coetzee, but again, we've got to balance out 16 games for a season, so we'll see.
He could be carrying injury too.
Could be. I mean, we know some of the Frank Halai is a name that's not on the list too, and don't know how he's doing. Could be carrying injury. So you got Mason Koch, you've got Lerone White, backup prop, as we've talked about. Patty Ryan, another backup prop. Again, geez, you got a USA Eagle coming off the bench. That's pretty exciting.
That's nice.
Michael DeWall's had a great spring. I say about spring training, but great preseason. But Michael DeWall's had a great preseason so far. Dom Bailey coming off the bench as well. So there's your loose forwards. You've got Marcelo Torrealba. Again, we know Marcelo. I have to give a shout out to Chris Shade, who called me out. I was talking to Lerone White on the last podcast, and I said that we had so many players coming back from in their third season, and I forgot Marcelo. So Marcelo, I'm very sorry. Chris Shade, thanks for calling me out on that, man. So Marcelo Torrealba, and you've got Kurt Morath, as you said, coming off the bench, and Roderick Waters. So you talk about a reserves, our finishers, as we'll call them, and Kurt Morath. You've got a Tongan international, the most capped Tongan, their most points scored for a Tongan international. You've got an American international. Mm-hmm. You've got Roderick Waters. You got Lerone White, who's won the Shield with Seattle. You got Dom Bailey, Marcelo Torrealba, who just had an amazing, season down with Chile, and you've got two young guys coming off the bench. How exciting is that?
Yeah, very exciting. And you know what else is exciting is I don't know how many fans they're letting in, but they sold out tickets like 10 days ago.
Yeah. So from what we understand, because we got Paul Oakenfold, coming into Bold Stadium to play afterwards. But the AGs tickets are sold. Tickets are, I think, technically sold out. There may be a couple left in the tri zone, but because of social distancing, we are no completely.
It's because I actually missed. So I actually missed out on buying a ticket.
The Huns have like 100 people going. You missed out.
Yeah, long story. I didn't get my payment in time, and
I'm sure we can figure out a way.
Luckily, I coach with the Valkyries, and the Valkyries also got a whole block of tickets, and
Tons.
And they did a 4-week touch tournament, and they all, instead of 6 nations, they all broke up into 4 teams. They drafted teams and had the 4 nations tournament.
Nice.
And the team, they had a weird system for like engagement points. I don't know how it was calculated, but basically whichever people were the most team was the most engaged got free tickets to the game, but then also the team that won the tournament got free tickets. Nice. Everyone on the team got free tickets, and yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. Helped ref it,
and you missed out. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find your way into the match on Saturday. Yeah, but that's awesome, man.
They were, it's cool. They were all playing for free tickets, so I thought that was pretty sweet, and
I think
everyone's getting behind the team.
Yep, I think it's great to see everybody getting behind the team. We're pretty excited about it. It's Saturday. If you can't make it out, it's going to be on KVVO, KXAN, Channel 14, 7 o'clock on Saturday. Super exciting. So right after this break, we'll come back with the guest we've been talking about, Mr. Mack Mason. As Alex and I said, it's game week. So exciting, man. It feels like it's been years since we had MLR and actually really any full play of rugby. We had preseason, but man, God, so excited for Saturday. So excited to see the boys get their first win of the season. So excited to have everything just kind of come together. It seems like things are going really well. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the new faces, get out there and get their first hit out in MLR. And one of those new faces that we have coming onto the podcast today comes from Australia. He is none other than Mr. Mack Mason. Mack, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Great day in Austin.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful outside. I don't know what day anybody listens or watches, but it's, 70-something degrees. Let me put that in Celsius real quick. About 30 Celsius? 29 Celsius?
Yeah, around that. 27, 28.
Okay. Yeah, my conversions aren't too bad. I get pretty close, but the only problem is it's about 90 mile an hour winds outside right now. So storms going through, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk to Mack about, basically what's going on with you. How have things been since you came to Austin, and how are things going on with the team getting ready for the big game on Saturday against Utah?
Yeah, since I got to Austin, it's been really good. Had the snow first up, and then the weather sort of settled down a little bit. So we got to do a little bit of training, get to know the boys since I've been here, and obviously all from different spots in the world and in America itself. So getting to know the lads, and looking forward to this weekend against Utah. So we've had 3 trial matches, performed very well, growing well into the season. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend.
For sure. And I think that's kind of one of the exciting things, for Austin fans, is that I feel as though more than any other team, we've actually had more of kind of that real game time experience. I think a couple other teams have had maybe 1, maybe 2 at most, but we've had 3 really good hitouts that I think again, coming from just that 25-minute half, 2 25-minute halves against the NOLA side, all the way up to, the barn burner that we had this past Saturday at Bold in the preseason against the Giltinis. It's been good to watch you guys get out there and play. How's it been for you guys, like out on the field? How have you felt about, just kind of the progression that you've had the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's been really good. From that first game against NOLA, I think we've grown a lot as a squad and sort of fixed a few problems along the way that have arose, and also worked on our strengths. So yeah, it's been really good to have those 3 quality hitouts before we played this weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll come back and talk about that, because I want to talk a little bit about just kind of how the team's meshing together, how things are working, how you're working within the team. But I really want to let people know kind of like a little bit about your background. You've got a pretty great pedigree coming, and we were talking just before. You've got some NRL U20 experience, so some rugby league experience, and some rugby union experience playing with the Waratahs. Walk the people through who are listening and watching kind of your path to Austin.
So I left school, went straight to Melbourne. Played rugby league down there for a year and a bit. Then I went back to my home state in Queensland, went to the Reds for a year, but that was Aussie 20s. So yeah, didn't really play too much there. So I think we played our World Cup in Manchester that year, and then went to the Waratahs for the last 4 years and been there ever since. And then COVID hit, and I went home for a little while, and then ended up here at the start of this year. So yeah, it's been a long journey, but I'm here now, so really excited.
That's exciting. I think, when you were announced, a lot of people were, some people knew who you were. You do have Super Rugby experience. You've played, playing in the Waratah squad. You played, you're vice captain or captain of Waratah A.
I was a bit of both.
Both.
Captain a few games in the trial matches, and then vice captain.
And I think that when people look at it, they go, oh, it's only limited Super Rugby experience, but unfortunately, you were behind probably one of he actually was probably one of the best fly halves in the world, for quite some time, and still is and Bernard Foley, who was kind of playing above you at the Waratahs. What was that like to kind of learn and kind of study and play against Foley in all of those practices and just kind of coming up as a youth?
Yeah, for the first 2 years, it was really helpful, I reckon. Probably grew my game to a certain amount. But, then the next two, you sort of really start itching to play a few more minutes, get on the pitch a little bit more and get a few more minutes against quality players. So it was really good along the way, and he's a great guy too. So it made it a little bit easier sitting behind him, learning. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad, but there was pros and cons to it for sure.
Oh, sure. I think that's a lot. You talk to a lot of athletes and they say, I just want to get my chance to get up there and I want to show myself off in those, in those test starts, if you will, and kind of getting in front of the top level play, iron sharpens iron type of thing, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And so I think
that's pretty much how I felt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate, I guess, but it's also lucky for us because now it kind of brings you here, and you came into a squad, and your natural position has been at fly half, and of course we've got two other fly halves who are both international players, but the past couple of weeks you've been playing at 12. What was that what was that shift like for you? Are you liking playing at inside, or you prefer kind of playing at 10?
No, I'm really enjoying it actually. At the start, Mark Gerard said, probably looking at you at 12 at the moment, just because we obviously have Will and Curdy there as well as in the fly half position. So I was open to play wherever they needed, and the style of rugby that we are looking to play is really entertaining, really upbeat. It sort of requires at least two playmakers on the pitch at one time. So no, it's been really good. I've enjoyed the shift, and looking forward to getting out there this weekend and throwing the ball around.
Yeah, right. No, it's good. I think that's one of the, when you talk to people who, they kind of put 12s in two different pockets. Some call it just the crashing 12. You just throw the ball to them and they just dive in and get you a couple meters and try to break away or break through that gain line. And then they have the distributing 12 where you kind of see it as a second playmaker. You see yourself more as that distributing 12, getting it out to the guys on the outside of you, like Bryce Campbell and Frank Halai.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely more of distributing 12.
You don't want to be your size. For those correct, you can correct me if I'm wrong. 5'11".
No, not the biggest.
Yeah,
not the biggest.
not the biggest 12 in the game, but that's okay. We're elusive, right? Like you can be quick and agile and sidestep everybody. But as far as being that distributing 12, how do you feel about some of the guys that are outside of you that you get to kind of get that ball to and get going down the field?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Some boys are very athletic, like Rod Waters, for example, just crazy athlete in general, and Bryce Campbell, obviously a big man, lifts a lot of weight in the gym, and then Frankie. Yeah, so Eve Connor. There's a lot of really different attributes that those guys bring to the team, and the more time they spend with the ball in their hand, the better for the team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of talking about the style of play and everything you were mentioning. What is it about that, this attacking style that really entices you?
Just play with what you see a bit. You're not so restricted. Sorry, by the structure as much. So you can sort of pick and choose what you play, and we're looking to play an expansive, exciting brand of rugby over here.
Yeah, when you came over, obviously you've got a lot of experience, both in NRL and in Super Rugby. Did you kind of think that you were going to come over and maybe instill some knowledge that you have learned? Because we always talk to guys and say everybody has different aspects about the game that they know that they can help teach somebody else. What's kind of one thing that you think you've brought over to teach someone on the team, and what's one big thing that you've learned from somebody on the team right now that maybe you didn't know, that you've learned since you've been here?
Probably off the field's probably been the biggest thing. Just knowing when to switch on and switch off.
Yeah.
Over here is a little bit easier than back in Australia, just because you don't have that massive media presence and you're always in the spotlight.
Listen, this is
in Oz the
podcast is massive media. I don't know if you know me.
Huge.
I don't know if you saw our post on Instagram. We now have 18 followers and listeners in Australia. That's 10 in New South Wales alone. So
and that's better than 17. So that's
massive.
All good.
No, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Been the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Nah, all good.
So no massive media here. We're trying. We're trying to push it there. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, and it's definitely growing over here. So it's been, even just getting away, getting connected with a lot of the boys, because we're not all from Austin itself. So no one really
Actually,
knows
no one is from Austin themselves, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
So switching off is kind of one of the things you've learned. Do you think you've kind of brought something over from Australia that people have kind of picked up on, or any, just anything that you've been able to kind of work with maybe some of the American players who don't have as much experience, playing, seasoned as you are?
I wouldn't say so much. It's sort of helping coaching as well. With Sam and Mark, they're both Aussies. It's helping the American boys understand the game a little bit more, and also taking like some of the things that they see, because they're so fresh to the game, some of them, that it's probably a really good way to look at the game, just starting all over again. So it's working both ways for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Obviously you said, Sam and Mark, two big players, both Mark in Union, but also Sam in league and Union over in Australia. Growing up, obviously, you would have watched Mark, play for the Wallabies, and you may have watched Sam play as well for New South Wales, and then also for Manly and the Sea Eagles and stuff. But who were some of the people that you really admired, and who you kind of, as a kid growing up in Australia, who you wanted to be like?
As a kid growing up, I was league all the way through, so it was a bit different for me. Sort of watched Darren Lockyer, John Thurston, those guys in rugby league, and then in rugby union it's probably more Berrick Barnes, even that style of player. So
nice.
I did watch a few G's games growing up, and again, he's a bit bigger man than me, so he's probably didn't idolize him as much.
It's because he's a big guy and runs fast too. Like, at least he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure he still does. Like, I mean, he's no spring chicken, but still, I bet he can get out on their field and lace up the boots with anybody right now. So
yeah, I think he really wants to too. To tell you the truth,
I honestly think he does too. He was talking to him recently, and I think he's itching. So maybe you see him out in one of the club rugby teams here this year, which would be
for sure,
pretty funny. So it'll be good. It's interesting you say like Lockyer, and I think Darren he was an amazing player. That's again, I'm one of those rare Americans that watches a lot of rugby league and knows the name. So, but yeah, I think playing at his style is really exciting. What do you think it's gonna? Do you think with that your experience playing league helps you better as a defender in Union?
Yeah, I think it really does. Just even the contact, you do so much more wrestling in league, in training sessions, and just bracing your body for the contact, I reckon, really sets you in a good stead for coming across to Union. Yeah.
Do you feel, I mean, let me ask you this, so one of the things, I have this hypothesis that, and I was excited to, hear when we brought Sam over as a coach, I was like, oh, maybe bring some rugby league guys over, because the defensive style, it's very up in your face, and, you're trying to, meet him, a meter or two behind the gain line when you're on defense. And so I feel as though that league style of defense helps out when you guys are out there and that style that hopefully we play. But for offense, obviously, passing is key in rugby league because you have to be a crisp passer, and you probably pass, I don't know, I'd say you probably pass exponentially more in a league match than you do in a union match. At least the style of passing and the crispness of the passing. Do you think there's an offensive impact as well coming from league to union?
Yeah, I think it works both ways for sure. League, you sort of sit on one side, who you're sitting down, like stopping in their defensive system, so you can really focus on honing in on one guy or honing in on a weak defender. Whereas in union, a lot of people shift. So, but if you talk on the run and know who you're getting at, and your outside shoulder can run a short line, then yeah, for sure, I think it balances out both in attack and defense.
Nice, cool. Well, it's obviously as we kind of get wrapped up here and stuff, I'm just gonna ask you some really couple random questions.
Sweet.
All right. So what's been your favorite food in Texas so far?
Yeah, I get around the Mexican.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Anything to do with that, fajitas, tacos, they're just amazing over here. It's probably a little bit too good.
Any favorite place that you've been able to venture to? There, one place that says, oh yeah, I gotta get tacos from there.
Not really. I sort of like them all. So
yeah.
I'll pick a favorite place later in the year. I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. After season's over, when you can when you can kind of indulge a little bit more.
Yeah. So let myself go.
Torchy's Tacos, and then there's a place down south, further past Austin, past downtown, called Valentina's Tacos, and they make brisket tacos. And I will give them my praise every single day. Best tacos in the world. So Texas brisket and tacos. So good stuff. So okay. Next question on the team, who is the biggest character?
Oh, character.
Yeah.
Cole Davies would have to be up there. He's a little bit strange, the Canadian. Yeah. Like a character in both ways. Really good man. A bit sleepy. You don't know if he's there or not, or where he is in the universe.
Where he's thinking about something ethereal and all right, so Cole Davis' biggest character. Who's got the best hair on the team?
Mclean Jones.
Really? Okay. I got to check his. I haven't seen his hair. Like I figured everybody usually just says Jeff Hassler. In the past couple of years, it's been Mo Abdomen or it's been Don McKenna, but both of them cut their hair over the summers.
And Jeff gets too much praises already for his hair. So.
The Fabio hair I think is pretty intense. So
yeah.
What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to outside of the match on Saturday?
The live music after.
Yeah,
I think.
Are you an Oakenfold fan? I know. I remember like in the press release, like said you grew up on a farm, so I don't know if the dance music really works into your favor or not.
No, it doesn't. But I'm a massive fan of country music, so it's a great thing about Austin on the radio. Listen to the country music all the time.
There's 9,000 channels. So
yeah.
How's that kind of comparison? Where you grew up on a farm in Australia, and then coming here to Texas, which is just a massive state. Almost the size of New South Wales, not quite, but a lot of that open country. Does it feel a little bit like home?
Yeah, it's definitely doesn't have that real big city vibe here, which is good for me, coming from the middle of nowhere. So that has helped a lot, and even it's a bit strange. Like we go to training, you still see cattle on the side of the road. So yeah, definitely that's a pretty good vibe.
You can drive downtown near my house, and only about a mile away, you can still see cattle on the road. So.
Yeah.
It's Texas and it's Austin and it's weird, but that's why we like it.
Yeah.
So, well, hey man, really appreciate you coming on. Obviously we're recording this on Wednesday. This will come out on Friday for all of you listening today on Friday. Tomorrow's Saturday is a big day. We're looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what you and the boys can do out there. Tickets still available? Do you know? Like I know we've been quickly selling out, but do you know if there tickets still available?
Yeah, I know there's tickets still available, very close to selling out, but I know that reasonable price. So get out there and support the lads. $5 to $20, like you can sit $5. You can sit in the tri zone. It's also a college area. So if you're listening and you're in college and want something to do this weekend, come on out, man.
Appreciate it.
Get out there.
Yeah, exactly. Mack Mason, really appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for sitting down and having a chat with us. And we look forward to having you come back on the podcast a little bit later in the season. We can talk about more tacos. Sound good?
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cheers, Mac. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye.
We appreciate having Mac on the show. Alex, as always, it's great, man. Super excited. Again, Saturday, 7 o'clock, KBVO. If you can't get out to the match, Channel 14. We're really looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning into the podcast this week. Alex, man, you got a score prediction for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go AG's 38, Utah 20.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I was going to go 38-21 AGs. Up the AGs in the Gilgroniac Nation. 34-21, I think. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's what I'm going to go with. But I think the AGs can pull it off. So it's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it. As always, you guys can follow us on our social media channels, Austin Rugby Supporters. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube page if you're listening on the Spotify or on Apple iTunes or anything like that. And if you're on Spotify, or excuse me, if you're on YouTube watching us, go listen to us on other platforms. If you're driving down your car, if you're driving out to the match, we appreciate it. That's Alex Reese. I'm Dustin Zaire saying thanks for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you on the pitch.